In this video, I'm gonna give you 15 ripoffs, tourist traps, and scams around the Philippines and Manila next on Jaycation. Hey, what's up Jaycationers? Welcome back to another video in the Philippines series. Today, we are gonna give you 15 ripoffs, tourist traps, and scams, not just in Manila, but around the Philippines. These are things not to scare you. These are just things you should be aware of and educate yourself on, so when you're here, you don't get any surprises and you don't lose your money or you don't get ripped off in any way, sort, or fashion. So hopefully these 15 tips help you out and you're aware, so when you're here in the Philippines, you have a nice vacation, or if you're living here, you just have a nice experience when you're out in these touristy areas. We're not here to create problems, we're here to solve them and help you guys have a nice experience when visiting the Pilipinas. But when you're here in the area of Intramuros, you're gonna probably want to ride a kalesa, which is a Filipino horse-drawn carriage, and it's decorated really nicely. The ripoff would be if you got overcharged. 350 to 500 pesos is about the range. 500 is probably the big one with multiple people. If you're hiring a tour guide, the longer you go, the more you're gonna pay for the tour guide. On a hot day, you probably want to ride a kalesa. We want to ride a kalesa because it's a nice day to check out this historical area of the Philippines, but make sure that you're not overpaying too much. 350 to 500 pesos. Just remember that. This scam definitely has to do with a lot of the expats, especially the white dudes who come here to the Philippines looking for love, looking for a wife, looking for a relationship, and they join these dating services, they join these dating apps, and they end up getting relationship fraud. Either they're getting scammed by the so-called service, or they end up getting scammed by the woman themselves, whether it's money or through a green card, or showering them with expensive gifts. Relationship fraud does run wild here in the Philippines and all over Asia. So make sure if you are to come here and find love, to go to a legit dating service, a legit website. You can always do your research and figure that out, or just go out to a bar, go out to a restaurant and strike up a natural conversation with a pretty woman. And who knows, she could be the love of your life. But watch out, you don't want to get siphoned thousands of dollars from a woman that you've been talking to online, only to find out you're being catfished and it's not even that same woman, it's somebody else. She's a gold digger. So watch out for relationship fraud. The next thing you're gonna want to watch out for are the taxi scams. If you are getting into a taxi, make sure you snap a picture of the license plate, and when you get into the taxi, make sure you request that you're gonna get metered for your ride. Now, the Philippines, the safest way to ride around Manila is to take a Grab, because it's done through an app. It's a lot like Lyft and Uber. You are tracked on there, and it is a legitimate app that drivers and riders can use to make sure you don't get scammed like you would in a taxi. My friend Haley Dasovich, she got scammed into a taxi from the airport once, and her video blew up. It got millions of views. You don't want to end up becoming one of those scam people though. It really sucks. They tried to do it to Jaycation when he was here in 2018. He told them to screw off and gave him what they agreed upon initially. So make sure if you're riding a taxi, you get it metered. But for the most part, I heard that a lot of the taxis are honest here, but there are a few that will try to take advantage of you, especially if you are a foreigner. Another scam you should watch out for happen in tourist islands like Boracay, Siargao, El Nido, different parts of Palawan. Watch out for the water sports and motorcycle and 4x4 scams. There are bike rentals, water sport rentals. There are rental places that are just out there to scam you. They will lend you out a vehicle and then you'll take it back, whether it's a jet ski or a motorcycle, and it already will have pre-existing damages. They won't even show it to you in the beginning. And when you come back, they're like, oh, you have damages. You've incurred a 10 to 20,000 peso fine because of that. So just be careful of the scams there. If I were to rent water sports and motorbikes from people, it would be through the hotel, just so you know that it's a legit hotel, as long as you're staying in a legit hotel, or a really well-known rental company around the island. Islands are small, like Boracay and El Nido. You'll know which ones are legit. Don't go to the shady one that's in a garage that's unmarked, because they're probably gonna try to gyp you. So make sure you watch out for that type of scam here in the Philippines. let's talk about the money exchange scam. This is what I've heard. There are some black market money exchange places that promise better rates than, let's say, the airport or different spots in the mall. I trust the mall more. They have better rates than the airport, and they do give good money back, and it's legit. So this is what I gotta say about money exchange. First of all, make sure all your hundreds that you take with you to the Philippines are crisp. You can always go to ATM. Some of the banks will reimburse you for the fees that incurred for you using your ATM card at a Philippine bank. But if you do bring money to exchange, make sure all your hundreds are crisp. Go to your Wells Fargo, go to your Chase or whatever you use in America and get fresh $100 bills, because they're really, really dramatic about one little crease. Also, when you're at the currency exchange spots, make sure you count the money. They'll count it in front of you, but you also count the money after. And don't leave the teller until you know the exact rate has been given back to you. Because the scam here is, there are places that will give you money, rubber band it up. They'll rubber band it up, but in the process, they'll do a little sleight of hand and take away a couple thousand pesos. And when you leave and then you count the money, you're shorted a few thousand pesos, and you're like, what the hell just happened? Well, they just scammed you because you didn't count the money that you were supposed to get back, and it's too late. You come back there and you say they shorted you, and they're like, what? What are you talking about? Hindi ko alam ang sinasabi mo. Just be aware of the money exchange scams in some of these seedier exchange places. But if you go to exchange places around the malls here, they're pretty good. I like the Sanris over at Market. I always exchange my money over there. Your next ripoff is not really a ripoff. It's a ripoff because you know it's not real, but you're actually getting a good deal as long as you know how to bargain down the prices. That is all the fake goods at Green Hills, at the Changi, over at Divisoria, at Tai. You can get jerseys like this Austin Ribs jersey for about 500 pesos. Now, they aren't authentic, they're not real Nike jerseys, but you can get them for super cheap. And this is a ripoff that I encourage you to do because it's fun. And if you're just getting something that you normally wouldn't get, like this Austin Reeves jersey, you can't even find a real one back in the United States, I would say go ahead and get one. Now they have bags and shoes and stuff. I don't recommend getting those, but a couple of the fun things like these jerseys, I definitely recommend. So fake goods in the Philippines, definitely a ripoff, but maybe a ripoff you want to do because they're super cheap and it really is worth it to get something fun like this. Another ripoff that you want to watch out for are at the various airports, especially if you're traveling around the 7,000 plus islands here in the Philippines. There will be airports, mainly here in Naiya and Cebu. There are luggage handlers out there that are just gonna grab your bags and then help you load it onto your taxi, onto your Grab without you even asking. And when they do that, they'll ask you for money after, ask you for a tip. Don't assume that they're grabbing your bags and helping you out out of the goodness of their heart or as part of a service, because it's not. Especially over in the airports, they're gonna ask you for a tip and then they're gonna hassle you. They're gonna give you a difficult time, and you're not gonna like that because you're on vacation and you're trying to get to your destination without any hassle. They know that, and they prey on people that just let them grab their bags. So watch out for the luggage handlers in the various airports, because they're gonna be asking you for a tip. This next ripoff isn't really a ripoff unless you are unaware of it. Most of the sit-down restaurants, especially here in BGC and around Manila and the Philippines, they do incur a 10 to 15% service charge. Sometimes if you don't look at your receipt and see that in the itemized column there, you wouldn't even know that you got charged the 10%, and then you might have that westernized mindset of leaving that 15 to 20% tip that's always expected in America. Very debatable. It's been getting crazy over in America, the tipping culture over there, but that could be debated upon down below. Yeah, so if you see the service charge and you don't want to leave a tip, you don't have to. It's really up to you. I was asking people around here how much you should leave for tip, and they said that, you know, with the service charge, you really don't need to, but if you want to leave a few extra pesos for the server, especially if they did a good job and they did take good care of you, then leave what you want. But for the most part, service is great here. It is just a little little slower. They do present, the plates are plated really nicely. The to-go bags and the boxes are scotch taped up, and the food is wrapped up in neat foil. So they really do take good care of you here. So if you do have a couple of extra pesos and you want to leave a tip, feel free to do so. So not exactly a rip-off, just something to be aware of. So always read your itemized receipt when you get it. They always make sure, they say, here you go, sir, look at, is this right? And then they'll show you when you're charging your credit card exactly how much they're putting in there. So just be aware of that. The next thing you should watch out for are the spiked drinks. For you solo travelers, for you ladies that are out there alone, make sure you're watching your drinks being poured at a bar, or don't just accept drinks from anybody. I mean, this goes for anywhere, whether it's in the Philippines, New Orleans, Thailand, Hawaii, Las Vegas, but make sure you're watching people pour your drink, because you don't want a pill being slipped in there, or a foreign substance, a foreign powder. Places like Poblacion or clubs here in the Philippines around BGC, you don't know. You never know. You just can't trust anybody. So watch out for the spiked drinks, because it does happen here every now and then on occasion. So if you're traveling alone or you're traveling with a group, make sure you're just getting those drinks made right. The next thing that you need to watch out for here in the Philippines are the closed attraction scam. It probably happens the most here in Intramuros, especially on Mondays, because Mondays a lot of the businesses are closed, like today. Well, you will be approached by a random person saying that they're going to give you a tour, they'll be your personal guide, you'll give them the money, but everything is closed. Like right now, San Agustin Church is closed, and other churches and museums around the Intramuros area are closed. Make sure you do your research, because if an attraction is closed and you really want to see it, that's on you. If you do a tour and you just let people take you around, it might not be open. A lot of people have come here to Intramuros on a Monday, done a tour, but everything was closed. And also know the hours of time that it's open. Sometimes they only open during windows of the day, so like 8 to 10 and like 3 to 5. So just make sure you read it on Google. Google's pretty accurate for the most part, and just don't be a victim of the closed attraction scam. Another thing to watch out for, just be cautious of, are the food vendors around Manila and around the country. Some are not officially licensed, and some you're gonna get really good cheap deals, but you don't know exactly where the food was acquired, and you don't know exactly what you're eating. So just be very careful with food vendors here, because you might get ripped off in a different way, and that's a health way where your stomach just gets destroyed. So just be careful with food vendors. Unfortunately, there is a poorer side of the Philippines, and you're gonna encounter beggars, especially here in Manila and the old Manila part. There's kids, there's adults, there's grandmas, grandpas that will come up to you and ask for money or ask for food in different ways. There are times where one kid will come up to you and ask you for money, then you give them money. Next thing you know, there's a horde of kids surrounding you. And this is when you're walking by yourself around Luneta Park or around here in Intramuros. Use your best judgment. If you wanna give money to people, just use your best judgment. If you find it in your heart to do it, go ahead and do it, but just watch out, because sometimes they will multiply and they'll be all around you. I'm not talking about it being a ripoff, I'm just saying use your human judgment. And if you do have the money to take care of them, it's up to you to do that. Your next ripoff you won't even know happened, because it's you being pickpocketed. And these would happen in places like Divisoria or 999 or even Green Hills if you're not careful. A lot of people like to take precautions by wearing their backpack forward or wearing those side bags, which I don't really like because I'm not that hip. I usually use a money belt and tuck it in between my waist and use zippered pockets for my cell phones. You put your phone in an unzippered pocket and you leave it there just for a half a second in a crowded area, it can be taken from you. Believe me, I lived in Barcelona for years and I've heard a handful of people losing phones in the Rambla area, but here in the Philippines it can happen as well, especially in Metro Manila. You're sweating, a lot is going on, people are pursuing you for a tour or pressuring you to get on a calesa. Next thing you know, somebody swipes you. It can be a kid, it can be a grandma, it can be a grandpa, it can be somebody that looks like you. So just be careful because they come in all forms, shapes, and sizes. Your next ripoff would be from an airlines here in the Philippines when you're doing inter-island flights or even leaving the country. They will nickel and dime you if you go overweight, even just a little bit, maybe half a kilo over or 2 kilos over. It depends on the agent and the airline. I remember getting triggered by an agent that was being very petty on my way to Cebu or leaving Cebu, and they made me take stuff out out of my luggage, and then they were like, "Oh, you can't put that on you." I was like, "Yes, I can. I'm wearing it." So make sure you bring yourself one of these. Give or take, they are pretty good and pretty accurate, but maybe leave yourself a kilo or half a kilo to go. So I'm going to Boracay right now. I'm flying Air Asia. Air Asia will find out if they try to nickel and dime you. But I have 28 kilos for your check-in and then 7 kilos for carry-on. And I paid a little extra, I think. Let's see. Well, it says 28 pounds, so that's not even a kilo. So I'm at 13 kilos, so I'm good to go. They will not say anything at the airport. Now you gotta weigh the backpack too. It's at 7.3 right now. So that's a little over. So I'm gonna have to take something out of this. So just make sure that your luggage and your carry-on is up to standards and to the rules. Make sure you read all the rules of your airlines ahead of time and bring portable weigh scale, and that will avoid you getting ripped off. Sometimes they charge you way more than you should be paying for luggage. And if you can carry stuff on your pockets and maybe wear a hoodie with you, that helps the weight. I'm a little scared leaving the country because I have so much stuff, but we will make sure that it's up to standards. Right behind me is Solaire, where you can do some legit gaming, but there are shady card dealings out there, especially in the Manila area. If you go to maybe Chinatown or areas in Makati or parts of the hood, they will have illegal gaming going around in a back alley somewhere, up a stairwell, behind a dive bar. You don't want to get into that because they're gonna make you win at first, and then next thing you know, you're slowly gonna start losing money, and then bam, you've lost all your money and you're in trouble. It's like something out of a movie. There are illegal card games around, but resorts and casinos like Solaire and Okada are around, and you can gamble legitly just like you do in Vegas. Or you can fly to Macau, which is not too far away. All right, Jaycationers, so that will do it for the ripoffs, tourist traps, and scams of Manila, Philippines. I hope you liked it. I gave you 15 of them. Hopefully they just help you out on your next trip. This video is just meant to help out travelers coming to the Philippines. It's not meant to instill fear in anybody whatsoever like the other videos say. But if there's other ripoffs, tourist traps, and scams that I've missed out on, comment down below. It really helps the community guide them through their vacation here in the Philippines. Just stay safe out there, use common sense, do your research, and you should be fine here in the Pilipinas. So maraming salamat sa inyong lahat. Make sure you subscribe to my new channel, Jaycation San Diego. And we'll see you guys in the next one. Be safe out there. And in the words of me, ingat at mahal kita. Stay traveling, Pilipinas.